Welcome to newlytrading.com. News on some of the newest publicly traded companies on the TSXV, OTC, and on the CSE exchanges. Newly Trading is brought to you by thenewswire.com, the most affordable newswire service in North America. Get started with your free trial. Today we're talking with Eugene Konarev, Director of Nerds on Site, trading symbol NERD, on the CSE exchange. Good day, Eugene.
Hi, Jim.
Eugene, maybe you can start by giving us a little bit of your history in the public markets and how you got started in that area.
My background by education is in computer science. I graduated from University of Toronto. And while I was in my computer science program, I was quite fascinated in terms of what I saw that could happen to public companies on public markets, specifically in U.S. So I saw small companies, raising $5, $10, $15 million and being extremely successful and develop way faster than private companies that I knew of. And when I graduated, I was lucky to join a small consulting group at the time. The name of the consulting group was IGS. The group used to take small private companies public on OTC, sometimes NASDAQ or Amex in the United States. And it was a very rewarding and interesting experience, which unfortunately had to come to the end in 2008 when small cap environment completely collapsed in the United States. And a few years ago, when markets stabilized and I saw a lot of interesting things happening, I decided to come back and practice a little bit more on the consulting side.
Can you give us a little bit of background and kind of the genesis of where Nerds on Site came from and how did it come together?
The company started in 1996 by John Harbarenko and David Redekop, the true original self-proclaimed nerds. And they saw the need of on-site computer services back then in people's homes. So they used to work in Future Shop at that time. And every time somebody brought a computer to Future Shop to be fixed, they saw that business model wasn't working well. First of all, you can break something that you bring there, you can lose. Then the computer sits there for a while. You don't know what happens with it. So they created this model that they would come and serve residential clients initially at their homes. That model worked for, I think, 3 or 4 years, but it wasn't really scalable simply because residential business is not a large item business. And also residential customers, when something doesn't work with IT at their home, they can still survive. When something happens in the office, IT-wise, in a small business or a medium-sized business, it's typically a fire. So that business model was scaled up pretty quickly. The company covered 10 Canadian cities within the first 2 years after SME business model was unrolled. And those 10 cities typically are running on wheels of approximately 125 to 130 full-time nerds. The nerd is a subcontractor in Canada. So it's a self-starter. It's a IT knowledge-based type of person. But also, each nerd in the company has access to, we call it a collegiate network of nerds, which is managed by the online on-tablet system that the company built. That's kind of the premise. You have a team of nerds. They're self-starters. They're entrepreneurs. They're running their own in their own cities or areas. Majority of the clients are SME, small business clients. Those are the clients that really need the service.
Well, this is an interesting space that you're in. So, I mean, it is technology, but it's also the service sector. And I'm wondering how populated that space is on the public markets. And do you see yourselves as kind of a standalone?
In terms of who we are and as an identity, is there a direct comp on the public market to us that has anywhere close to the business model that we have? There is none. Typically, Geek Squad obviously is not public, but they're owned by Best Buy, and a lot of people try to compare Nerds on Site to Geek Squad because that's like what comes to mind when they think about IT service, and especially if they think It's a residential IT service. But when it comes to centrally controlled operating system like INN running 125 independent technicians, nerds in Canada, allowing them to process payments, speak to each other through the collegiate network of nerds, update their knowledge base through proprietary courses that are offered in the University of Nerdology, client database and marketing tools. Nobody else does that. So we're truly unique in this sense.
What are the next milestones? You said you're kind of moving towards the U.S. market.
So we already started. Right now, 15 Nerdmobiles. It's fully branded red Volkswagen Beetles that are running and being driven by either nerds to be or temp nerds in Florida and Arizona, with the goal to get approximately 100 new Nerdmobiles and nerds in first 10 U.S. cities within the next, hopefully, 12 to 16 months.
If people were looking for some more information on the company, where would they go?
A good starting point is our website, which is nerdsonsite.com.
Well, we wish you all the best of luck. Thank you for joining us today, and continued success. We've been talking with Eugene Konarev, director of Nerds on Site. Their trading symbol is NERD on the CSE exchange. That's it for this episode of NewlyTrading.com, the podcast. News on some of the newest publicly traded companies on the TSXV, OTC, and on the CSE exchanges. Newly Trading is brought to you by TheNewsWire.com, the most affordable newswire service in North America. Get started with your free trial. NewlyTrading.com and this podcast are solely intended for information purposes. If you're considering investing in securities, always consult a professional advisor. I'm Jim Ripley.